Aya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. So welcome everyone. So last week we started this chapter 15 entitled uh, The Pandavas Retire Timely. Hmm? In chapter 14, Maharaj Yudhishthir um, uh, observed several inauspicious omens. He had sent his brother Arjuna to Dwaraka to find out the next program of Lord Sri Krishna. Arjuna had not returned. 7 months have passed, but Arjuna had not returned to Hastinapur yet. So he observed various inauspicious omens, and he was explaining these omens to his younger brother, um, Bhimasen. Uh, um, and while he was, you know, explaining this to Bhimasen, Arjuna came, and Arjuna was grief-stricken. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, he asked various questions. He put forward various questions. Would that be the reason you are sad? Would this be the reason? Various questions. And he says, oh, it must be that our dear Lord Krishna must have left this world. So that could be the reason why you are so grief-stricken. So Arjuna did not get a chance to speak in chapter 14. And in chapter 15, so Arjuna, he started to speak. He was completely grief-stricken. His bodily luster is diminished, and yes, his eyes are smeared with tears, and with great difficulty, and he remembered the Lord. And he said to Yudhishthir, saying that that same Lord, who was very close to us, who protected us many ways, who always looked after us nicely, has left me alone. And then saying after that, so he basically, Arjun recollects the incidents in which Krishna empowered him and protected the Pandavas. So various incidents, if you have a friend, a dear friend, who helps you, who looks after you nicely, but who is not with you now, you will recollect those incidents. Similarly, Arjun started recollecting various incidents in which Arjun was empowered, other Pandavas empowered, and other Pandavas were protected by the Lord. The first instant, he recollects the Draupadi, how Arjuna gained the hand of Draupadi. And there were various kings, but Arjuna became victorious in that competition. And then Arjuna recollects another pastime where this fire god was devastating this Kandava forest, where the demon named Maya was living. Mm. And while fire god was devastating the Kandava forest, Lord Krishna also released his Sudarshan disc to kill this Maya Dhanav. Mm. Um, and this fire god was actually given permission by Indradev. Lord Indra said that you can go and eat this forest. So Arjuna and he fought with King Indra, and he pleased King Indra in the fighting. And this Mayadanava was very clever, seeing this fire as well as the Sudarshan disc chasing him. He took shelter of Arjun. As soon as he took shelter of Arjun, both the fire and the Sudarshan disc stopped chasing him. That's where we discussed mm, that you know Lord, um, pure devotees, and pure devotees, taking pure shelter of pure devotees, very important. Lord withdrew his own Sudarshan disc, mm, because Mayadana took shelter of Arjun. Uh, and so Arjuna was as recollecting this incident and saying that all this happened because the will of the Lord, because of the grace of the Lord. Otherwise, where is the power for me to stop the fire god and as well as fight with Indra and as well as stop Sudarshan disc? Hmm. So the key point from that was that taking shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord is very, very important. Prabhupada mentioned they are more merciful than the Lord himself. So luckily we all have that wonderful opportunity of taking shelter of Krishna's pure devotees in the form of Srila Prabhupada in his books and his Vani. Hmm. So we are very fortunate to have that. Then Arjun recollects another pastime where Bhimasena, his brother, managed to kill the powerful demon Jarasandh. Mm. So he was like a very powerful. Uh, but Bhima became victorious because of the grace of the Lord. As a result of that, they also released several kings that Jarasandha wanted to sacrifice them in the Mahabhairava Yajna. Then Arjun recollected, saying that it was Lord only loosened the hair of all the wives of um, Kuru dynasty, because Dushasan mishandled the hair of Queen Draupadi, and as a result of that, Lord made the wives of the kings hair. He made the hair loosen. Mm. And after that, Arjun recollected another pastime of Durvasa. And Durvasa Muni came with his 10,000 disciples to cause some disturbance to Pandavas when they were in exile. Um, but in that occasion also, Draupadi remembered Krishna, and Krishna came and he ate a little bit, one grain, and then how he, by that way, he saved the Pandavas from the greatest danger. Then he recollected another pastime where Arjun pleased Lord Shiva in the fight. Lord Shiva became pleased with Arjuna's fighting ability. Mm. And he gave a weapon, special weapon called Pashpadastra. The another thing he was recollecting was he was able to go to heavenly planet in the self same body, and he was given a off elevated seat. Mm. So all this was possible because of the mercy of Lord Krishna. Uh, Arjun never thought that mm, it was him who could do all these things. Uh, Arjun was seeing Lord's hand in every incident. That is it. We may possess so much abilities, talents, and opulences, but the devotee is one who sees Lord's hand in everything. That is it. We have great kings like Ambarish, Pandavas, uh, and in Chaitanya Charitamrita we have King Prataprudra. Uh, but all these people, although they possess so much opulence, they just simply see that it is the mercy of the Lord. Hmm? So let's carry on reading from text 13. And Madhakumar Prabhu, like last week, we have to just go verse by verse, and where the story comes, I'll try and explain. Otherwise, we will move forward. You may choose a couple of
Yeah.
people for a few verses like that.
Yes, Prabhu. So, yeah, we can have one devotee read a few verses until you suggest we change, and then
Yeah.
like that we can continue. Before we get into reading, Prabhu, I wanted to just acknowledge that we have a couple of new members in the group.
All right.
Last week, I think Shushma Sharma Mataji, I'm not personally familiar. They joined, and this week we have uh, Mum's friend Kiran Kohli Mataji. She's joined us this week, so we
Okay.
can just maybe formally welcome them.
So, yes, very welcome to our group, both Sushma Mataji and Kiran Kohli Mataji. We are very pleased and very happy to have you on board. And you have chosen to come and participate in this auspicious discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you so much.
So Kiran Kohli Mataji, she lives in Shaw, and last year, or was it the year before, we even went for a Damodar prayers program in her house. She very kindly invited us, and we distributed a big number of calendars as well. So just remembering that with gratitude. So with Kiran Kohli and Shushma Sharma Mataji, we probably formally have 30 members as part of this Wednesday Sangha. Today we have about 19 people present, but we are 30 members strong and going.
Hari Hari. Okay,
So,
so thank
so
you.
today maybe Anuradha Mataji can start and read a first few verses, and then after that, Gaura Ati Mataji Mom can take the second turn.
So from text 13 onwards,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Text 13. When I stayed for some days as a guest in the heavenly planets, all the heavenly demigods, including King Indradeva, took shelter in my arms, which were marked with the Gandiv bow, to kill the demon named Nivatta Kavacha. O King, descendant of Ajamidha, at the present moment, I am bereft of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose influence I was so powerful.
Thank you,
Text
Mataji.
14.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Uh,
Okay,
yeah, please be there.
yeah.
So here Arjuna was simply remembering that even Indra, King Indra, took shelter of Arjun. Arjun, he was living on the earthly planet, but he visited heavenly planet. Even King Indra took shelter of Arjun. Because Arjuna possesses this Gandiva bow, which is empowered by the Lord. And let's read a little purport, but yet very sweet. Mata, you can read the purport as well.
The heavenly demigods are certainly more intelligent, powerful, and beautiful, and yet they had to take help from Arjuna because of his Gandiva bow, which was empowered by the grace of Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord is all powerful, and by his grace, his pure devotee can be as powerful as he may desire, and there is no limit to it. And when the Lord withdraws his power from anyone, he is powerless by the will of the Lord.
Thank you. So before he withdraws his power from us, let us use that power in the service of the Lord. Uh, so from the last class, my realization was that use it before we lose it. Uh, Use it before we lose it. Mm. All these abilities and all these power, even just being alive, is by the grace of the Lord. Mm. So yeah, before we withdraw his powers, let us all engage in the service of the Lord. Motherji, move forward, please. Text 14.
Text 14. The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which
Dwelled.
there dwelled many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. Because of his friendship, I, seated on the chariot, was able to cross over it, and only by his grace I was able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels and were sources of all brilliance.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Here we know that how Arjuna became victorious in the Battle of Kurukshetra, although the army of Kauravas were invincible. And it is like an ocean. Ocean is difficult to cross. Mm. And very powerful warriors that side, Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, Karna, very powerful warriors. Mm. But he became victorious by the mercy of the Lord. Mm. Another pastime he recollects, Arjuna recollects, uh, is this when they were incognito, um, so 12 years in exile and 1 year is in incognito. So when they were in incognito under the care of King Virat, hmm, the Kauravas picked up a quarrel with King Virat, and they were stealing the cows or forcibly taking the cows of this King Virat. Mm. So that time Arjuna and all other Pandavas were incognito uh, with Virat, King Virat. So that time Arjun single-handedly defeated all these warriors, mm, including Bhishma. He just used a special weapon and defeated. So single-handedly he could defeat all the entire Kaurava army. And he could collect some jewels from their elements. So Arjuna again recollecting this pastime. Let's move forward, Mataji. Text 15.
Text 15. It was he only withdrew the duration of life from everyone, and who in the battlefield withdrew the speculative power and strength of enthusiasm from the great military phalanx made by the Kauravas, headed by Bhishma, Karna, Drona, Salya, etc. The
Yes. So,
arrangement
yes. Sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
Their arrangement was expert and more than adequate, but he, Lord Krishna, while going forward, did all this.
Yeah. So, however expert one may be, that who is more expert than the Lord? Uh, there is one saying in Bengali, Prabhupada used to repeat, Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake. If Krishna wants to kill you, uh, who can save you? But if Krishna wants to save you, who can kill you? Mm. So yes, their military arrangement was so nice, so adequate and expert, but yet uh, they were simply defeated. Mm. Um, 16, text 16, please.
Text 16. Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karan, Bhurisrava, Susarma, Salya, Jayadratha, and Bhalika all directed their invincible weapons against me. But by his Lord Krishna's grace, they could not even touch a hair on my head. Similarly, Prahlad Maharaj, the supreme devotee of Lord Narsimhadev, was unaffected by the weapons the demons used against him.
Thank you, Mataji. So we all know that how Prahlad Maharaj, he was only little boy. He was only 5 years at that time, and he was tortured by his father, and he was, his father tried to kill him in many ways, but he failed to attempt to fail to kill him or harm in any way, because Prahlad Maharaj was completely surrendered to Lord Krishna and took full shelter of Lord Narsimhadev. Mm. So he was thinking of this and comparing. So his case with Prahlad Maharaj as well, like all these great warriors, they used invincible weapons, but they could not touch even a single hair on Arjuna's body. Mm. So we all know all these people here, but I just wanted to talk about this Jayadratha. There is his name was mentioned here. A great general like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bhurishwara, Susharma, Shalya, and Jayadratha. There is an interesting episode with Jayadratha. So Jayadratha, he was also there in the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. Um, so he like Draupadi was very beautiful. He wanted to have the association of Draupadi. Mm. And Kauravas had one sister, Dushala, and that sister was given to um, um, Jayadratha. Mm. So somehow or other, he had always this desire in his mind, Jayadratha. Mm. So once upon a time, when the Pandavas were in exile and when they were not around, only Draupadi was there. So he came and he forcefully um, took her away. Mm. Um, Draupadi offered some resistance, but he managed to put her on chariot and take her away forcibly. Mm. And that time, Dhaumya was there. They were all, tried to save, but they couldn't. But the news, you know, reached Pandavas, and they caught hold of Jayadrath. They fought him with him, and they have, they bet him like anything, and they shaved his head and left only 5 hairs on his head. That represents 5 Pandavas. And they took him to the kings, all the kings, and made him say that he is the slave of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So great insult. Sometimes for Kshatriyas, insult is worse than the death. So he was insulted like that. He was forced to say that he was the slave of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And he had this, he wanted to take revenge. He went to Himalayas and tried to please Lord Shiva. And when Lord Shiva appeared and he said, "What do you want?" So, "My lord, give me a boon that I can defeat all 5 Pandavas in one go, and one occasion, at least on one occasion." Lord Shiva said, "I can't promise all 5 Pandavas, but I can say that you'll be able to defeat or check 4 Pandavas at least on one occasion." The other boon was that whoever makes his head fall on the ground will die immediately. If you shoot an arrow to cut his head off, if his head falls on the ground, the person who the person who shoots an arrow would die immediately. His head would break cracks into 7 pieces, something like that. So these were the 2 boons. So Jayadratha, um, what happened was when Abhimanyu was fighting in Padma Vyuha, there is an arrangement. So Abhimanyu was fighting with these seven great warriors, Kaurava warriors. So when he was on his own, that time we all know that on that day, Krishna took Arjuna away. For some reason, Arjun was not present when Abhimanyu was fighting with these great generals. Abhimanyu is the son of Arjuna. Hmm. So these four Pandavas, sorry, the four Pandavas, they wanted to enter into this arrangement to offer some support to Abhimanyu. But at the entrance, they were checked by Jayadratha. So they could not, uh, you know, conquer him that day. So they were checked by Jayadratha. So had they gone into the arrangement, Abhimanyu would not have been killed. So when Arjun returned, he came to know the news that his son was killed. Uh, um, uh, and then it was Jayadratha who checked for Pandavas. So Arjun took a vow that by the sunset, I would kill Jayadratha. If I am unable to kill this Jayadratha by sunset, I will enter into fire. He took a vow. Kshatriyas are very powerful. they, they just take vows. So somehow or other, I think if I remember well, Jayadratha was hiding here and there, and by Krishna's arrangement, with Krishna's potency, it appeared dark, as if there is no sun, as if it was already sunset. So Jayadratha, thinking that it was already sunset, he came out because Arjuna could not kill by the sunset. Then now he has to enter into fire. So when Jayadratha came out, then Arjuna removed his potency, mystic potency, Yogamaya potency. Then there was sun. So Krishna said, see, there is sun, there is Jayadratha. Shoot. And he also told, Krishna also said that, you should make his head fall into his father's lap, not on the ground. Yes. So Arjuna followed that instruction, shot an arrow, and then Jayadratha's head fell into his father's lap, who was meditating that time. And all of a sudden, like when you are meditating, something comes and falls on your lap. What would you do? You just throw. He threw. And his father's head cracked into 7 pieces and he died. Very interesting story, how Krishna personally helped Arjuna to become victorious. Of course, in every occasion, but this occasion is specifically important, I felt. Very interesting story. Let's move forward.
Mom can read now, I think.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Anuradha Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, text 17 onwards.
Yeah.
It was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses, and it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver, for he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation.
Yes, so here we all know that again he's just recollecting that his enemies neglected to kill him when he got down the chariot to get some water for his thirsty horses. But here one important thing is that Krishna acted as the chariot driver. Great people wanted to serve him, but here he's serving his own devotees. Prabhupada mentions that all these impersonalists, they want to become God. They wanted to worship God, but here God is serving his own devotees. God is controlled by his devotees like Arjun and Yashoda Maya. So better become a devotee. Don't become impersonalist, but become a devotee. Hmm. Thank you, Mataji. Please.
O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. He addresses unto me as, O son of Pratha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty, and all such heartiness are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed.
Thank you, Mataji. Please move on.
Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit, and loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry, sometimes, if there were any irregularities, I used to reproach him by saying, My friend, you are very truthful. Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the supreme soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son.
Thank you. So this is also self-explanatory, but while I was preparing for this class, just one thought came to my mind. Lord is sitting in everyone's heart. Uh, Lord was physically present with Arjuna at that time, but Lord is sitting in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hrudi sannivishto. I am seated in everyone's heart. And so he's eagerly waiting for us to turn towards him. Hmm? In the Vedas, this analogy was given. Two birds are sitting on one branch, and one bird is busy eating the fruits of that tree. And these fruits are bitter, sour, and sometimes sweet a little bit. But most of the times bitter and sour, pungent. Hmm? So that is us, that bird. And the other bird is just witnessing. Hmm? And so Lord is simply waiting for us to turn towards him. Mm. Here Arjuna was just recollecting that how he was excused, mm, in various dealings. But Lord is also excusing us. Uh, this is another chance for us to turn towards him. Another life means another chance. It's very rare. It is said in the Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashit yatat siddhade yatatam api siddhanam kashin mam veti tatvataha. Out of many, many thousands of among men, one will hardly try to come to Krishna. Very rare. And it is said, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan pram prapadyate. After many, many lives, at the end of many lives, one who is in true knowledge, one comes to the shelter of Lord Krishna. Here, uh, here we are, once again, wonderful opportunity. Let us use it before we lose our abilities. Thank you. And move forward, Mataji.
O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dear most well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna.
Right. So thank you very much, Mataji. So this one, we will just read the purport as it is, because there is some interesting thing that we have to um, read. Better to read it here. Arjuna is mentioning that he was defeated by some coward men. But let's read this purport. Mataji, please, if you
Now,
don't mind.
thank you, Prabhuji. The important point in this verse is how it was possible that Arjuna could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men, and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of Lord Krishna, who were under the protection of Arjuna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by research in the Vishnu Purana and Brahma Purana. In these Puranas, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven pleased Ashtakavakra
Ashtavakra.
Muni by their service and were blessed by the Muni to have the Supreme Lord as their husband. Ashtavakra Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. The daughters of the demigods could not check their laughter upon seeing the movements of the Muni, and the Muni, being angry at them, cursed them that they would be kidnapped by rogues, and even if they would get the Lord as their husband. Later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being robbed by the rogues. So, in order to keep the words of the great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjuna. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were touched by the rogues. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become wives of the Lord returned to their respective position after their desire was fulfilled. After the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage back to Godhead, and they were called back under different conditions only.
Thank you, Mataji. So here it is said that when Arjuna was guarding the bodies of the Lord, and they were kidnapped by some rogues or cowherd men. But here Vishnu Chakravarti Thakura points out, and Prabhupada mentions that who would be able to touch the bodies of the Lord, who would be able to defeat Lord Krishna, just to fulfill the curse of Ashtavakramuni. It was only Lord Krishna came in the form of those cowherd men and stole the wives. So just it is better to understand. That's why we read Acharya's books. If we don't have the purport, just imagine why it is so important to read the books written by Acharyas. This kind of sentence, if you read the translation, we would wonder why. But Acharyas, they explain nicely. Okay, so let's move forward.
Get someone else to read now.
Yes.
Thank
from
you.
text
Thank you.
1 onwards, yeah.
Yeah, can we get Sushma Sharma Mataji if they're available to read? If not, then Ian Prabhu, would you like to read today? If you're there.
Yes, Hari Krishna Prabhu.
But 21 onwards, please. Sushma Sharma Mataji is back. You can read after Ian Prabhu Mataji, if you just stay online for us, please. Ian Prabhu, 21 onwards.
Yes. I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrow.
Text 20.
Oh, Sushma Mataji, you can read after Ian Prabhu. Just stay online for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Which text, Prabhu?
21, sorry. Yeah.
I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna, to whom all the kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with magic wand, or sowing seeds on barren land.
Thank you, Ian Prabhu. Let's see what here I put something. Yeah, please read the purport as well.
As we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by his borrowed plumes. All energies and powers are derived from the Supreme Source, Lord Krishna, and they act as long as he desires and ceases to function as soon as he withdraws. All electrical energies are received from the powerhouse, and as soon as the powerhouse stops supplying energy, the bulbs are of no use. In a moment's time, such energies can be generated or withdrawn by the supreme will of the Lord. Material civilization without the blessing of the Lord is child's play only. As long as the parents allow the child to play, it is all right. As soon as the parents withdraw, the child has to stop. Human civilization and all activities thereof must be dovetailed with the supreme blessings of the Lord. And without this blessing, all advancement of human civilization is like decoration on a dead body. It is said here that a dead civilization and its activities are something like clarified butter on ashes. The accumulation of money by a magic wand and the sowing of seeds in a barren land.
Thank you, Prabhu. So the key point is that everything we have is actually everything is actually coming from the Lord and Lord's mercy, Lord's energy, and so realizing that fact, one should use the abilities and talents or opulences in the service of the Lord. Right. Next, please. Text 22 and 23.
Ian Prabhu, carry on, please.
O King, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwarka, I will inform you that all of them were cursed by the Brahmanas, and as a result, they all became intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought amongst themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone.
Please move forward. Yeah.
Text
24.
Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another.
Next.
Text 25, 26.
Yes, please.
O King, as in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatics swallow up the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker, and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. So here, so Arjuna is informing his brother Yudhishthir Maharaj how Yadu dynasty was cursed by Brahmanas, and how they fought with one another and killed. But the point here, it is mentioned, but it is all due to the supreme will of the Lord. So he only engaged people to kill one another because he has to wind his pastimes. So you just mentioned that the pastime of Krishna disappearance, we discussed, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but it also comes in detail in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That even the hunter who shot arrow at the toenail of Krishna was sent to spiritual world by Krishna himself. So it was all happened by the will of the Lord. So now text 27 onwards, Sushma Mataji.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Ian Prabhu. Thank you very much.
27. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instruction for relieving the burning heart in all the circumstances of time and space.
Thank you, Mataji. Just please be there. And
okay.
So here, Arjuna is mentioning to Yudhishthir Maharaj, now I'm attracted to those instructions that are given to me by the Supreme Lord. He's talking about Gita. Gita was instructed to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So here Arjuna says, Arjuna was completely despondent and grief-stricken. But now he's mentioning that he was attracted to those instructions. And these instructions can relieve the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. If ever we get depressed, and we go through this situation time and again, although we are practicing devotees, we are not immune to these dualities yet. And but as soon as we read scripture, as soon as we read Gita, as soon as we open Bhagavatam and read Bhagavatam, it acts as a medicine. These instructions, these pastimes in the scripture acts as a medicine for the burning heart. In all circumstances, time and place, whether you are in India, whether you are outside India, wherever we are, whether we are Asian or Caucasian, doesn't matter. For everyone, it will act. So let's read a little bit about this, and we are running out. Yes, so it's the second paragraph. Can you read, Sushma Mataji?
Yeah,
Law.
28. Where?
No,
Which one?
the purport. Can you see the purport on the screen? I've highlighted.
Yeah, the merciful Lord. This one.
Yes, please.
The merciful Lord left behind him the great teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, so that one can take the instruction of the Lord even when he is not visible to material eyesight. Material senses cannot have any estimation of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. But by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense of perception of the conditioned soul in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is also another form of the Lord's manifested energy. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita or any authentic scripture is
scriptural
called.
sound representation of the Lord.
Oh, it's small.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
Is it smaller for you? I'll read out for you. No problem. It may be smaller.
It's gone small, so I can't
Okay.
read.
So I'll read it out. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord is also the incarnation of the Lord. Please remember this point. This Bhagavatam is not different from the Lord. Bhagavad Gita is not different from the Lord. Sound representation is not different from the Lord. There is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. One can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjun did in the personal presence of the Lord. What a beautiful purport. Sometimes people ask, for Arjun there was Krishna. Who is there for me? So answer is, Gita is there for all of us. Of course, luckily, Prabhupada commented, and so it is so nice. Let us move forward. So, yeah, someone can read text up to text 30, and we'll wind it up.
Yeah, maybe Neil can read now till the end. Just translations, bro?
Yes, translations.
Yeah, 28 onwards, 28, 29, and 30, please.
Okay. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instruction of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Text 29. Arjuna, constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided. Text 30. Because of the Lord's pastime and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared that Arjuna forgot the instruction left by the personality of Godhead. But factually, this was not the case, and again he became Lord of his senses.
Thank you, Mataji. So from text 27 onwards, we can see that how Arjuna was, even though he was grief stricken, so by remembering the instructions of Gita, by remembering the instructions given by the Lord, he became pacified. Hmm? And Prabhupada repeatedly mentions in these four purports to these four verses that everybody can become peaceful uh, by reading, by taking the instructions of Gita. Hmm? So in text 30, there is a little purport I wanted you to read. Yeah, the last paragraph, if you can read, that would be great.
Arjuna, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his relatives, but he fought for the mission of the Lord. He was always engaged in the execution of his mission only, and therefore, after the Lord's departure, he remained in the same transcendental position, even though it appeared that he forgot all the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore adjust the activities of life in pace with the mission of the Lord, and by doing this, one is sure to return back home, back to Godhead. This is the highest perfection of life.
Thank
Thank
you very much, Mataji. That last sentence is last two sentences are very powerful.
you.
One should therefore adjust the activities of life uh, in pace with the mission of the Lord. And by doing this, one can sure to return back to home, back to Godhead. This is the highest perfection of life. Prabhupada or Krishna says that we should never give. Krishna never says that we should give up our work, uh, but we should dovetail our work uh, and engage in Krishna consciousness while doing work. That repeatedly says that. Mm. I heard one class where it says the title of the class is that don't give up material activity, but give up materialistic mentality. Don't give up material activity, but give up the materialistic mentality. That materialistic mentality is that we are the doer, I am the enjoyer, and I am permanent, and this is mine, all that. So we have to work. So Krishna, yeah, Prabhupada also says that, yes, keep on working, no issue, but just make sure how you can engage in the devotional service of the Lord. And if we can do that, we can attain highest perfection of the life. So today we discussed and how Arjun was recollecting some of the incident where Lord Krishna empowered him and protected him and his brothers, and how Lord Krishna became pacified by remembering the instructions that are given to him by Sri Krishna. And in the same way, we go through this grief. It is normal duality. We live in a world of duality. Always summer and winter season, they come and go. But if we take to the instructions of the Lord that are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we can also become pacified. We can become pacified. And while working, by practicing the devotion, we can slowly attain the highest perfection of the life. Thank you very much. And it is 8 o'clock. Really appreciate any comments or anything that anybody wants to share before Madhav Kumar Prabhu says anything. Okay, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you once again for taking us through a wonderful session, learning new things every day. We just wanted to share a new initiative on behalf of the temple. It's called Shastra Dan. The intent is to try and make the knowledge of Bhagavatam and the books accessible to as many people as possible. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to offer a full Bhagavatam set at subsidized price to people who may not be able to afford the full price of sets. So we are urging people to, when they make the next donation, they can specify that this is to go towards Shashtradan. And when we have substantial amount collected in the Shashtradan pot, no matter how big or small your donation is, we will try and subsidize the cost of Bhagavatam set and make it accessible and available to as many people as possible. So whatever small or large your contribution may be, occasion or not, birthdays, anniversaries, any reason you have to just make a small contribution, please specify that it's for Shastradhan, and the book set can then be made available to more people. It'll be a nice way to be able to contribute to our learning, each other's learning, by participating in that way, and help realize Prabhupada's instruction and forecast for every gentleman to have a set of Bhagavatam in their house. So that's just something we'd like to do with support from everyone. So next time you're feeling like making a contribution, please be in touch and consider making it towards Shastradhan, making Bhagavatam available to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madhav Kumar Prabhu. Madhav Kumar Prabhu always strive to distribute these scriptures to as many people as possible, and it comes up with wonderful ways how we can give it to the people. And this is a good initiative, and if you want to contribute, or if you want to, if not, you can also inform your near and dear if they want to contribute anything to this, because sometimes the Bhagavatam price is quite a reasonable amount. If they would want to give a little bit, then Madhav Kumar Prabhu will just keep accumulating it, and once it reaches a certain level, then he will release that Bhagavatam set, which can go into a good home.
Yeah. Can I just add that we must acknowledge this month in January, we distributed 2 Bhagavatam sets donated partially by Gaurati Mataji, my mom. She was celebrating her grandson's birthday.
Thank you.
So based on that support, we moved 2 English sets, and like that, we received some other donation, because of which we could move 2 Bengali Bhagavatam sets as well. So this month, so far, through this process, we've distributed 4 Bhagavatam sets already. So please support us best.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Gaurati Mataji, for that wonderful contribution. And thank you, Madhav Kumar Prabhu, for your efforts. And thanks everyone for continue to attend these Bhagavatam classes, and you're giving me an opportunity to read some Bhagavatam. Thank you all. I'm very grateful to you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.